Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're looking into some experiences shared with us, and honestly, they're pretty unsettling. We're diving into accounts that started simple enough people using online marketplaces, Craigslist in these cases, just trying to buy or sell something. But these weren't straightforward transactions. We're talking unexpected twists, encounters that shifted from just feeling a bit weird to genuinely frightening.
That's right. And our goal here isn't just to retell these scary stories, it's really to unpack them. We want to look at the details, the sources people shared, and figure out, what actually happened, what patterns maybe emerge, and why things escalated the way they did. It's about finding the insights in these personal accounts.
Okay, let's jump into the first one. This comes from a 22-year-old woman. She was just trying to find a couch for her new apartment. Pretty normal thing to do. So she finds this ad on Craigslist. Pictures look okay, price seems like a real steal. But there's this one detail right at the start that kind of catches your attention. The seller's email. It was mexicanpoppy666@hotmail.com.
Yeah, that definitely stands out. It's one of those things that feels, a little bit off, maybe. Yeah. But it's also the kind of thing you might just brush off if you think you're getting a great deal.
Exactly. So she overlooks it, emails him an offer. He gets back to her super quick, like within 5 minutes, and accepts. But then he immediately insists on delivering it to her house, even though she suggested she could just pick it up herself.
Right, that's a bit forward. Usually the buyer goes to the seller or they meet somewhere public. Him insisting on her address, that raises a flag.
Yeah, she felt uncomfortable too, so she just stopped responding to his emails. But get this, a day later, even after she went silent, he emails her his address anyway, just sends it, unprompted.
Huh. So he's still trying to make the meeting happen, just shifting the location, persistent.
Very. And despite all the weirdness, the couch still seemed like such a good deal. And looking up his address, he wasn't actually that far away. So she sort of weighs it up and decides, okay, she'll go check it out at his place. She drives over, describes the house as smaller than the others on the street. A middle-aged guy wearing a baseball cap, answers the door, big smile, invites her right in. But she said she immediately felt uneasy the second she stepped inside. That gut feeling,
Always important to listen to that.
Definitely. So he shows her the couch, and it's immediately obvious it's not in great shape at all. Scuff marks, little tears here and there, nothing like the pictures in the ad.
Classic bait and switch, maybe. Or just misleading photos.
Could be. She points out the damage, and he just keeps smiling, offers a lower price. But she's already decided. She says, no thanks, I'm not interested, and heads for the door. And this is where it gets really, really creepy. As she's leaving, he puts his hand on her shoulder, and he offers her the couch for free if she's willing to give something to him.
Wow. Okay, so it went from a weird transaction to outright predatory behavior. That's awful.
Totally gross, right?
Yeah.
She said she just reacted with disgust, pulled away, got straight back in her car, and drove off fast. Didn't even look back. You'd hope that was the end of it. But no. That same night, she's back home, watching TV. Suddenly hears loud stomping sounds on her front porch steps. She mutes the TV, listens, and she can hear someone actually fiddling with her front doorknob, trying to open it.
Oh my God. After what happened earlier, that's terrifying.
Yeah. She goes to the peephole, looks out, but whoever it was, they're gone. Then she hears her backyard gate, the sound of it opening and then closing.
So they went around back.
Seems like it. That's when she calls 911. Doesn't hesitate. And soon after she makes the call, she hears someone at her back door now, fiddling with that doorknob. She yells out, the police are on their way, and the sounds stop. She hears the back gate open and close again. They're gone.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah.
She said nothing else happened after that night, but she's 99% certain he was the couch guy. Said it was just too much of a coincidence. It completely freaked her out, understandably. She stopped using Craigslist altogether and was actually looking for a new apartment because she just didn't feel safe there anymore.
What's really striking there is the escalation. It goes from ignoring a slightly weird email, which maybe seemed harmless, to a seller being pushy about delivery, then giving his address unsolicited, then the really inappropriate, creepy interaction at his house, and then the final terrifying step. Potential stalking, and what sounds like attempted breaking and entering at her own home later that night. It really just highlights how vulnerable you can be when an online interaction crosses over into the real world, especially when you reveal your location or go to someone else's. That feeling of being watched, even after the immediate encounter is over, it lingers.
Yeah, absolutely chilling. Okay, let's shift to the next account. This one involves someone looking for a car. It was for their son's 18th birthday. They were searching for a good deal, finding the usual car sites a bit too expensive, so they turned to Craigslist.
A common reason people use these platforms, trying to find that bargain.
Right. And they find what looks like an amazing deal. A 2003 Toyota Camry. Ad says low mileage, only 67,000 miles, no accidents, good condition. And the price, just $3,500.
For a Camry with that mileage, yeah, that sounds almost too good to be true.
Exactly. So they call the seller. Guy sounds perfectly normal on the phone, introduces himself as Bob, assures them the car's fine, no problems. They set up a time to go see it, and our storyteller grabs the cash, the $3,500, ready to buy if it checks out. They get to Bob's property maybe 15 minutes early. They describe it as a tiny house, but on a pretty decent-sized piece of land and kind of isolated, not many neighbors close by. The garage door is open, so they naturally walk over and peek inside, expecting to see the Camry.
Makes sense.
But it's empty. Well, not totally empty. They said there was an unusual amount of car parts scattered around.
Yeah.
Just no Camry. The only vehicle anywhere on the property is an old pickup truck.
Okay, that's weird right off the bat. The main item isn't there, but lots of other car bits. Doesn't line up with the ad at all.
Not at all. So they're confused. They double check the address. Yep, they're at the right place. They go to the front door. The actual doorbell button is missing. Just gone. So they knock. And knock. For about 5 solid minutes. No answer.
Strange.
So they think, okay, let's call his cell. The number they used to set up the meeting. They dial it, and they hear a phone ringing inside the house.
Oh, so he is home. He's just not answering the door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now they know he's in there. So they're really puzzled now, maybe a little uneasy. They decide to try looking through a window. They peer in. It's pretty dark inside, hard to see much detail. They can make out some old-fashioned dining room furniture. And then, across the room, standing near the back door, they see a figure. Just standing there, staring out the back.
Okay, so they assume that must be Bob.
That's what they thought. Like maybe he didn't hear the knocking or something. So they tap on the window pane to get his attention. But the figure doesn't move. Doesn't react at all. It just stays perfectly still.
Still, like completely still.
Completely.
Yeah.
So they think, well, it's an open yard, no fence or gate blocking the back. Maybe he can't hear us from the front. Let's just walk around back to that door where he's standing. They walk around the side of the house toward the back door, towards the figure. And this is where the story takes a truly horrifying turn. As they get closer to the back door, they realize what they're looking at. The figure standing there. The one they thought was Bob. It wasn't a person. It was a taxidermied human being.
Wait, what? Taxidermied human? Are you serious?
That's what the account says. A taxidermied human body, posed like a statue, standing by the door.
That is, I don't even have words. That's beyond creepy. That's pure nightmare fuel.
Absolutely. Yeah. They said they just turned and ran straight back to their car, didn't even think. But as they were getting in the car to peel out of there, they glanced back up at that window they'd looked through earlier. The blinds, which had been open, were now shut. But 2 of the slats were slightly bent, pushed apart, like someone had been peeking through them.
Oh, God. So someone was inside watching them, watching their reaction to the figure.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
They floored it out of there, didn't look back. They said the whole thing just makes no sense. The parts, the missing car, the statue.
It implies the ad wasn't about selling a car at all. It was a lure to get someone out to that isolated property. For what purpose? That's the terrifying question. This story, it builds dread so effectively. You have the promising ad, the normal call, then the series of increasingly weird things at the property. The missing car, the parts, the unanswered door, but the ringing phone. It creates this deep sense of confusion and unease, and then that confusion is just obliterated by the horrifying discovery at the back door. It forces you to ask, what was the real reason for that ad? The fact that someone was watching them leave, adjusting the blinds? It confirms active, malicious presence. It wasn't just some bizarre, abandoned scene. Someone was there, observing. It's utterly chilling.
Chilling is definitely the word. Okay, let's move to our third account. This one involves buying an iPhone 5 from Craigslist. Happened about a year before they shared the story. Smartly, this person brought their little brother along because the brother knew more about phones and how to test them properly.
Good call. Always good to have a second person, especially someone knowledgeable about what you're buying.
Definitely. They agreed to meet the seller halfway, which ended up being a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot. The only slightly iffy part was the time it was late, around 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, public places generally safer, but late at night, parking lots can be pretty deserted. Another small factor to consider.
Right. So they get there, and 2 guys pull up in a black Honda Civic. They described them as large and intimidating looking. The guys get out, show them the iPhone. It looks basically brand new, mint condition. The brother takes it, swaps the SIM card, checks all the functions, make sure it actually works, confirms it's good to go.
So far, so good, despite the late hour and the intimidating sellers.
Yep, transaction time. Now, the seller asks for $250, but the ad had clearly said $200. So our storyteller decides to lie a little bit, so they only brought $200 cash, the advertised price. Which wasn't true, they actually had the $250.
A bit of negotiation or sticking to the original price can sometimes cause friction.
It seemed to hear. The seller looked visibly unhappy about it, but he took the $200 anyway. They make the exchange phone for cash. The two guys get back in their Honda. Our storyteller and their brother get back in their car, start playing with the new phone. The brother mentions, kind of casually, that the Honda guys haven't left the parking lot yet.
Okay. Maybe they're just finishing something up.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
They didn't think too much of it at first. They start driving home, pull out onto the turnpike. As they're driving away, the brother looks back and says, hey, those guys just started their car too. Still, maybe a coincidence, right?
It could be, but it's starting to feel a little less like one.
Exactly. They keep driving. A little while later, they stop at a red light, and that's when they look in the rearview mirror, and the black Honda Civic pulls up right behind them. This immediately felt wrong. They were pretty sure the Honda had come into the Dunkin' lot from the opposite direction they were now heading. There's no way they should have ended up right behind them like that.
Okay, yeah. That confirms it's not a coincidence. They're being followed.
That's what they realize too. Now it gets intense. They start driving again. And every single turn they make, the Honda follows.
Yeah.
Right on their tail. The brother suggests maybe pulling over, see what they want. But the storyteller driving had a bad feeling, refused. Said, no way. These guys are looking for trouble.
Good instinct. Pulling over when you suspect malicious intent from someone following you is usually not the best move.
Right. It basically turned into a chase.
Yeah.
The storyteller started driving more erratically, speeding up, trying to lose them. They figured, if the guys just forgot something or needed to ask a question, they would call the phone they just sold them or honked or something less aggressive.
Ugh.
This felt deliberately threatening.
Makes sense. The pursuit itself is the message.
Totally. So they decide to do something pretty risky. They're approaching an intersection. The light's just turning red. They floor it, run the red light just as it changes, speeding across before the cross traffic starts moving. The brother's freaking out, calling them crazy. But it worked. They looked back, and the Honda hadn't followed them through the red light. They'd lost them.
Wow. Risky maneuver, but effective in that moment. Sounds incredibly stressful.
Extremely. They finally make it home, hearts absolutely pounding, but also kind of relieved,
Yeah.
They got away, and they still got a working phone for cheap. You really, really hope the story ends there.
Oh, no. Don't tell me there's more.
There's more. Later that same night, everyone else is asleep. Parents, brother. Our storyteller is up, setting up the new iPhone. Suddenly they hear it. 2 car doors slamming shut just outside their house. They look out the window, and their heart just stops. The black Honda Civic is parked right across the street.
They came back. They followed them home earlier and came back later. That's beyond persistent. That's terrifyingly deliberate.
Exactly. They knew immediately the guys were probably coming to the door. They ran, woke up their dad, explained everything real fast. Dad jumps up, grabs a baseball bat, and crouches down behind the front door waiting. Then a loud knock on the door. Dad yells through the door, tells him to go away.
Smart. Don't engage directly if you can avoid it.
But the guys outside escalate. One of them yells back, says he has a gun, and threatens to shoot the lock off if they don't open the door.
Whoa. Okay, this went from a chase to an armed threat at their home. This is incredibly dangerous.
Incredibly. Dad tells him to call Joe. Joe is their neighbor, lives 2 doors down, and Joe's a police officer. They quickly call Joe, explain the situation. Joe says he'll be right over, tells them to stay hidden, stay away from the door.
No.
And then, this is the detail that the storyteller said still scares them the most. They hear a sound, a sort of this T sound. They peek over carefully, and there's a bullet hole in the front door. Right near where their dad had been standing just moments before. The guy actually shot at the door with what sounded like a silenced pistol.
Oh my god, inches away from hitting him. That's
Yeah.
horrifying. They actually fired a weapon.
Yes. Dad scrambles away from the door. Then they hear Joe outside yelling, shouting police commands, telling the guys to drop their weapons. Dad goes outside then to back Joe up. Apparently, the guys lower their weapons when confronted by the officer. Joe arrested both of them right there.
This storyteller sums it up as, the absolute scariest day of their life. But also, in a strange way, the best they'd ever felt afterwards, knowing they were safe and the guys were caught.
What an ordeal. This account is deeply disturbing because it shows how a seemingly minor dispute over $50, or maybe just perceived disrespect, could escalate into stalking, a high-speed chase, and then culminate in an armed, potentially deadly attempted home invasion. The willingness of those individuals to track someone down, return later, and resort to gunfire, it's chilling. It really underscores how an interaction that starts online can spill over into immediate, severe physical danger in the real world. You're dealing with complete strangers and you have no idea who they are or what they're capable of. The fact their neighbor was a police officer likely prevented a tragedy there. Absolutely critical. Yeah, incredibly fortunate. So, looking at these three stories together, they're all different circumstances, right? A couch, a car, a phone. But the core elements, they resonate. They all started with that seemingly innocent online marketplace interaction. Someone looking for a deal, planning to meet a stranger, and then things just went sideways, fast and dangerously.
Right, we see these recurring themes, don't we? There's the element of trusting online descriptions or personas that turn out to be completely false. There's the ignoring of gut feelings or maybe just downplaying those little red flags, the weird email, the insistence on delivery, the late meeting time, the missing car. And crucially, there's that rapid, unpredictable escalation. How quickly things can shift from just feeling awkward or suspicious to outright threats to real physical danger, stalking, predatory behavior, attempted entry, even gunfire. They really expose the vulnerability that comes with setting up face-to-face meetings with people you only know through a screen name or an ad listing.
So why should you, listening right now, care about these specific, quite harrowing accounts? Because they're not just abstract warnings. They are real examples, shared by real people, showing how things can go wrong and how badly. They hammer home why vigilance is so crucial on these platforms, why listening to your instincts matters, why meeting in genuinely safe public places during the day is more than just advice. It can be critical. And maybe most importantly, being ready to just walk away, even if it means losing what seems like a great deal. If something feels off, it might be saving you from something far worse than losing $50 or missing out on a cheap couch. These aren't just cautionary tales. They're accounts of people who faced serious, tangible danger that started with a simple click online.
Exactly. And it leaves you with a pretty heavy thought, doesn't it? Our lives are increasingly tangled up with these online platforms. We use them for everything: buying, selling, connecting. So how do we actually balance the undeniable convenience and the opportunities they offer with these very real, sometimes hidden, and potentially severe risks that come with interacting with strangers? You have to wonder what responsibility lies with the platforms themselves to make things safer, and what responsibility is purely on us as individuals trying to navigate this world where digital interactions so easily bleed into physical reality. It's a complex question, and these stories show just how high the stakes can really be.